I can't believe the trench would be so close to the town.
It shouldn't be. At this point in the war, the Allies had broken through the trenches. That's why Germany surrendered. Their defenses were crumbling, and they didn't want to see their cities destroyed.
Only one of many illogical situations, Commander. The building where we were imprisoned almost burned to the ground, but no other building was touched, and no one seemed concerned about the fire.
What else?
The fact that everyone seems to recognize us, yet the military does not try to intercept us. The building signs in English instead of German. There is much here that is not what it seems.
I guess that explains all the English.
Is this German or Allied territory? Sandbags, rubble, an artillery shell has collapsed part of the trench. A ladder, which allowed soldiers to climb out of the trench and die more quickly. Army engineers have begun building a tunnel here. The tunnel has barely been started. McCoy is aghast at the landscape, which represents the brutality of his human ancestry. A lone soldier groans, but does not move. James T. Kirk looks out on the battered landscape and keeps his thoughts to himself. Lieutenant Commander Ellis feels a kinship with the dead. Mr. Spock analyzes the situation and wonders why there is not more destruction.
This battlefield does not truly represent the misery that was your First World War. A single soldier where there would be dozens. Dirt where there should be mud. Trelane is not providing an accurate depiction of this war, Captain.
At least we have one thing to thank him for, Mr. Spock. Think of it. Millions of young kids enthusiastically signing up for a war without purpose, dying without reason, by the orders of commanders who don't care. It's too bad that things haven't changed much in the last 400 years. Kids still die meaningless deaths for commanders who don't care.
It's hard to believe that I'm from the same species that could create such carnage.
We improved, but that's damning with faint praise. How come these planet-side missions always end up being so damn cheerful?
Nothing to report in the West.
What can you tell me about the war?
I am a sentry. The others are dead. I think I'm dying.
Captain, another abnormally high reading emanating from an object in his pocket. A locket of some sort.
Young human male, life signs failing. Suffering from internal bleeding and shock. That's odd. I should be able to see immediate improvement in his injuries. But I have no response.
That is because Trelane is interfering. This man is meant to be a dying soldier, whose presence provides drama for Trelane's production.
He'll die.
Logic suggests that Trelane will not allow him to die, except for dramatic effect. Given the inconsistencies I've noticed, it is probable that he may be kept alive indefinitely.
Can you give him something for the pain, Doctor?
Nothing I've done has any effect on him, Commander.
Nothing to report in the West.
What can you tell me about the war? What can you tell me about Trelane? About your locket. What can you tell me about Trelane?
I like to watch the airplanes fly overhead. The enemy watches them too, and I know we'll have a few minutes of peace. Nothing to report in the West.
What can you tell me about your locket?
You want my locket? But that's the only reminder of my girl. I'd rather lose my arm.
We need it very badly. If we do something for you, would you give it to us?
I have a letter to my girl. If you see that it is delivered, I'll give you my locket.
My dearest Hilda, you are the sun that lights my shadows. Your voice is the one that speaks to me when all other voices are filled with pain. Only your memory keeps this unbearable suffering from driving me mad. That and the hope that this war will soon end, one way or another, and that I may yet live to see your smile. These transfer papers will enable an enlisted man to retire from the trenches, perhaps saving his life.
We know of 2 women in this town. Let's get back to the tavern.
Thank you, Captain. I will see that it is delivered.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you.
And what is the Bluffmeister up to this time?
He doesn't bluff. He just complains about everything.
I do not. If I did, I would have hit the ceiling with my last hand.
You dealt. You deal with it.
There's no hand worse than the one you deal yourself. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. I cannot express my gratitude. If there is anything I can do for you, please let me know. Welcome, friends. Can I help you?
What can you tell me? I need you to spread a rumor about a chalkboard.
Oh,
You say you need me to convince Herr Schiller to give you the kindergarten blackboard. I would do anything for the man who got the commander to issue a transfer for my son.
thank you. There's some very helpful people in this town.
Welcome to the game, Colonel.
3 hours later.
My God! Where did you learn to play poker, Colonel?
Starfleet Academy.
We have enough money to purchase the clock, Captain. I suggest we do so without delay.
And that's exactly where we're going now. Before we go to the shop, we should probably get this letter for the school.
Herr Kirk, though my position as school superintendent keeps me busy, I'm always glad to help you.
You look worried. It wouldn't happen to be about the chalkboard by any chance.
I have heard the most horrifying rumors about these boards. Do you think they are true?
Absolutely. If you wish, I could dispose of the thing for you before anyone is harmed. I'd need a letter for Frau Hopperdink.
Absolutely. Let me just take pen to paper. Take it when you want to destroy the vile thing.
You pick up the piece of paper.
There we go.
If you can afford the clock, pay for it and then take it. That's just enough to buy this neat clock.
Groovy.
This letter from the superintendent gives you the authority to confiscate the chalkboard.
Well, if the superintendent says you must take it, you must.
Nothing to report in the West.
What can you tell me about that locket?
You've delivered my letter? I guess I'll keep my promise. Have my locket.
And there is one more location that we haven't visited yet.
There it is, the triplane that shot down the Enterprise.
Why don't you start it up and fly off in a blaze of glory? After all, you are James T. Kirk, the toast of Starfleet. The man who never loses.
Mr. Ellis.
What's the matter, Kirk? The truth hurts? You never let that get in the way of your ego before.
I'm putting you on report for insubordination. We're all upset, Mr. Ellis, but these insults won't solve a thing. That's it. I've taken all I can stand from you. We're all upset, Mr. Ellis, but these insults won't solve a thing.
I don't believe in mincing my words, Captain. If you can't accept my honest opinion, too bad.
Fine, but do yourself a favor and stay out of my way. That's it. I've taken all I can stand from you. Fine, but do yourself a favor and stay out of my way.
Kirk, I'm going to be in your face so much that you're never going to forget what I look like.
Commander, I know a treatment that has a good success rate at reducing excess aggressiveness. It's called reason.
Lieutenant Commander Ellis's gaze is transfixed on Trelane's castle. Dr. McCoy wonders how much medical attention the crew of the Enterprise will need when this is over. Mr. Spock is keeping his eye on his tricorder. James T. Kirk looks at the vessel that shot down his ship with considerable enmity. Castle Trelane, what else could it be? A Fokker DR-1. The hangar of Trelane's triplane. It appears to be abandoned. A fuel barrel lies abandoned on the ground. Grass. This seems pointless.
Whoops.
Bushes. A lot of trees.
We should scan as much of the area as possible.
The Enterprise is not far. I can sense it.
That is not logical, Captain.
I know, Mr. Spock, but I'd bet everything that I have it's nearby.
So that's where this Trelane is holding my ship. I'll wring his neck if he doesn't give it back.
I hope we have shore leave after this mission, Jim.
Another abnormally high reading emanating from the plane. It is in every way a Fokker DR-1, except for that power source. The tricorder indicates the hangar is completely deserted. I'm picking up immense power readings from that castle in the distance. There is a high probability that it's Trelane's base.
Well, of course it's Trelane's base. Where do you expect Trelane to live? A slum?
Doctor, your display of emotion is quite unnecessary.
I wonder. Oh.
Castle Trelane. The door to Castle Trelane is blocked by a force field. The grass looked greener on the other side of the hill. A large immovable rock. Lieutenant Commander Ellis, who's rather glad he hasn't served on the Enterprise. Mr. Spock, an enterprising first officer.
Hey.
James Kirk, an enterprising captain. Dr. McCoy, an enterprising chief medical officer.
I would have thought someone with Trelane's ego would have jumped to make a grand entrance from the castle.
Obviously, he's waiting for a moment of maximum theatrical effect. Or maybe you're just a coward, Trelane.
It is interesting that he does not choose to appear at this time.
And quite annoying, although perhaps I should count my blessings. Here we are at Trelane's doorstep. What's the matter, Trelane? Is the great Baron of Gothos afraid to come out and play?
An impressive edifice.
Well, here we are. I wonder what kind of death this person has in store for us.
So right now, what we need to do is put all these power sources together.
You put the locket in the triplane. You put the clock in the triplane. You put the chalkboard in the triplane.
I believe these are dynamite.
This package of explosives is one of the deadliest objects on the planet at this time, but not for much longer.
Affirmative, Captain.
Everyone stay well back.
I suppose I should be angry at you, Captain, with your act of vandalism against my beautiful aircraft. But then, barbarians will be barbarians.
There's only one barbarian in the room, Trelane, and I'm looking at him right now. Release my ship, Trelane. And don't you ever grow up, Trelane? You may have powers of a god, but that doesn't even come close to making you a man. Release my ship, Trelane.
My ship? My ship? It's always your ship, your crew. Don't you have anything else to think about? Conquests of your enemies and the fair sex.
Restore the ships you've stolen and return them unharmed.
You're in no position to make demands. I am the Baron of Gothas, the most renowned aristocrat in this part of Germany.
This farcical, wildly inaccurate fantasy of yours.
And you are my prisoner, a mere Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Kirk. And I will do with you whatever I want.
These look like starships.
An ugly gargoyle-like decoration.
A trifle grotesque for the setting, isn't it, Trelane?
Why, Kirk, I wasn't aware of your interest in the design of castles. I hope you like my rug better.
An ugly gargoyle-like decoration.
A trifle grotesque for the setting.
Why, Kirk?
An axe and shield. As with most of Trelane's collection, they are mostly ornamental. These candles illuminate Trelane's self-portrait.
Oh, yes.
If the real thing weren't bad enough, a portrait of the humble Baron of Gothos smirks nauseatingly at you. An axe and shield.
Okay.
A door, but to where? A polar bear rug. Mr. Spock, wondering how they can surmount this problem. James T. Kirk, looking very concerned. Dr. McCoy, not at all pleased to be in the same room as this madman. Weird stuff, Mr. Ellis thinks. Why did I have to get mixed up with the Enterprise and their weird stuff? Trelane, the Baron of Gothos, smirks triumphantly as the little drama unfolds.
I can suggest no logical course of action that can resolve this dilemma.
This is hardly a logical situation, Mr. Spock.
Indeed. Still, I wonder if Trelane realizes the extent of his misrepresentation.
All right, Trelane, why don't we end this farce? I'm the one who humiliated you. I'm the reason your parents punished you. Let the others and their ships go free.
Last time, Captain, you cheated. But if your friends are here, maybe you won't cheat.
Well, this is another fine mess we're in, Jim.
Any ideas on how to get out of this, Bones?
Well, looking at it from a medical perspective, we might view Trelane as a biological control network. And everything else that's going on is controlled by Trelane.
And?
What happens if Trelane loses control? Immaturity does seem to be Trelane's only weakness.
That's dangerous, Bones.
Like playing with a phaser on overload, but that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Well, how does the great James T. Kirk get us out of this mess? Or the ones who will get out of this mess alive?
None of us will get out of here alive if we don't stick together. Do you have any ideas, Mr. Ellis?
Have you ever played hide and seek, Captain? From what you've told me, he's a cosmic child hiding from his parents. If I were his parents, I wouldn't leave him alone for a minute. I'll bet my life that someone's looking for him, Captain.
You just might be right, Mr. Ellis.
This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the SS Shinobi, a freighter. This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the SS Manikier, a Denebian transport. This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the USS Zimbabwe.
My ship! Bring it back or I'll...
This one's even more savage than the last one of your officers who made the same mistake. My compliments, Captain, on having such a spirited crew. Truly a testament to your fine leadership.
Release him, Trelane. done you no harm, take me in his place. He's not a member of my crew and you know it. Besides, he looks rather peaceful standing there. Release him, Trelane.
You're no fun, Kirk. Besides, why should I?
I'll do what you want.
Your concern for the safety of your inferior species is most tiresome, Captain. Oh, very well.
I suppose I should thank you, Captain.
Later, Commander.
Whoops.
This bottle contains a very realistic reduction of the USS Enterprise.
Jim, is that what I think it is?
It is the Enterprise, Doctor. It is functioning normally, aside from being trapped. The crew are alive and well.
My latest hobby, gentlemen, putting warships in bottles, celebrating the grand martial heritage of your species.
The tricorder confirms that the ship has been shrunk. I know of no scientific way this could have occurred, and no way to reverse it.
We'll have to convince our host to do it, Mr. Spock.
If you attempt to steal from my collection, let's see. Oh, I believe the removal of hands was one of your more time-honored punishments.
You know all about punishments, don't you, Trelane?
I would guard your tongue, Captain. I believe the removal of an offensive tongue was an even older tradition than removing hands.
Nothing. It's as if he weren't there.
Captain, thank goodness you're all right. We've been stuck in a place on minimal life support, and every time we fix our communication systems, it goes offline again. Shall we try to beam you back?
That might be problematic, Mr. Scott.
Be careful, Captain. We've scanned 2 life forms that are right off the power scale.
2 life forms, Scotty. Scotty, come in.
How like an engineer your Mr. Scott is. Always fixated on the unimportant.
Okay. We're almost done here.
Well, Captain, I suppose you're about to make your grand plan of escape.
You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War. Why should I have to make a grand plan to escape from a loser like you? I don't have to do anything. Eventually, your parents are going to find you and discipline you again. You must think you're pretty clever, Trelane, with your replica of the First World War.
Why, thank you, Captain.
I wasn't complimenting you, Trelane. I've never seen such a piece of nonsense in my life. Although you could have made that trench scene much more realistic. If World War I had been the way you depicted, human history would have been a lot less bloody. Although you could have made that trench scene much more realistic.
Really, Captain?
Look into the memory banks of the Enterprise, Trelane. Recreate what's in there, and let me show you firsthand the glory of one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history. Not a liar, just misinformed. Use the memory banks of the Enterprise, Trelane. Recreate what's in there. War at its most realistic and terrifying.
What?
Rain has been falling for hours, ever since the battle ended. Otherwise, all is quiet on the Western Front. A German soldier. He had lost his 3 brothers at Verdun and had considered mutinying, but feared disgrace more than the loss of his own life. A German soldier. Though you couldn't tell it from the color of his uniform, mud has a way of making them all look the same. A dead French soldier. He survived a mustard gas attack at Ypres, but in this war, luck is not on anyone's side. A dead French soldier. In his hands, he cradles a letter from his fiancée. Rain has been falling for the sides of a trench, moats filled with soldiers in which they besieged each other for 4 bloody years. Kirk struggles to find the words to adequately describe this Holocaust. Trelane, the Baron of Gothos, seems delighted by what he is seeing. Rain has been falling.
This is worse than I imagined.
Captain Kirk, I hope you had a good reason for dragging me out in the mud in the middle of the rain.
Look around you, Trelane. Is this glory? Is this valor? Smell the stench of death. While knights fought in the sky, millions died in the mud, diseased, starving, mutilated. Is this the sort of game you want to play, Trelane? For once in your life, Trelane, shut up and look around you. Look around, Trelane. Take in the ambience, the romance of this place. Look at the proud soldiers celebrating the glories of war.
I hope he's being ironic here.
Look around you, Trelane. Is this glory?
But these people lost, Kirk. Shame and suffering is supposed to befall the losers in war.
These were the winners, Trelane. You're inhuman, Trelane. You play games with people and ignore their suffering, just like the people who sent these men to die. You should have been a politician. If you have any real courage, Trelane, if you want to experience real warfare, put yourself in their place. No powers, no titles. Experience the glory of war firsthand, like these men did.
But aren't you inferiors supposed to die like that? Aren't you supposed to throw your lives away in futile wars? Or die as meaningless non-entities? Dying a useless death without glory?
No one is useless, Trelane, and no one wants to throw away their life in a futile war. We've changed, Trelane. We've grown up. It's time you did too.
You're no fun anymore, Kirk. No fun at all. You're preachy just like them. Anything I'm interested in is always wrong.
Release my ship. Trelane, look around you. Does this look right to you? Trelane, you don't go around hurting people and expect them to treat it as though they're having fun. The first thing a life form learns is to avoid pain. Trelane, look around you. Does this look right to you?
But I didn't cause this, Kirk. It was your own species' suicidal tendencies that did this.
Trelane, if I admit that I cheated on our last encounter, can I have my ship back?
Yeah, we best not do that one.
Trelane, you're not experiencing the pain that people felt. You're supposed to sympathize with them.
I'll tell you what, Trelane. You can keep the Enterprise. All I want is your tripod.
You want my plane? You can't have that. It's mine.
But it's a lot nicer than the Enterprise. What would you rather have, a nice red triplane or a clunky-looking starship? Which one is better, Trelane?
Why, my triplane, of course.
Then why don't you make lots of triplanes and let those dusty, dirty old starships go free? Just think of all the fun you can have putting them in bottles.
Why, Captain, you've given me a hobby. I can hardly wait to start.
You'd better set those starships free, Trelane. You're going to need a lot of room on your mantelpiece for your new ships.
That is true, Captain.
Captain's log. Missing starships have been restored to normal size and are about to return to their assigned missions. It was horrible, Mr. Spock. Trelane recreated one of the greatest tragedies in human history. I've seen a lot, but even that...
The waste of lives is appalling, even when one operates by pure logic. When one considers what those millions of lives that were lost might have done for humanity had the war never taken place.
Well, now that we've taken care of business... Ow! I'll have to see Dr. McCoy about my shoulder.
Something happened, Captain?
Mr. Ellis and I.
I see. Are your differences settled?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Spock. We each won a game of zero-G squash, but I'm afraid he was called back to the Zimbabwe before we could have a rubber match. I think I dislocated my shoulder with a rather wild swing in the second game.
Then logic suggests that your injury would have caused you to lose the match.
I suppose so. He's a good player and a good officer. I'm putting in a request to bring him on the Enterprise.
That should be fascinating.
Hello, Captain. I'm Captain Gernsbeck of the Shinobi. I thought I would thank you personally before we left for Cephas Pi.
A pleasure to meet you, Captain.
Have we met before, Captain? There's something familiar.
Perhaps we did, on some other planet, in some other star system, sometime long ago.
Message from Starfleet Command.
On screen.
I've reviewed your report from your recent assignment, Captain, and have a few comments. I am very pleased with your performance. It was a perfect mission, Jim. Your reputation as Starfleet's best starship captain is secure. Kane out.